Okay. I'm going to weld today while I got the chance to use up the rest of this oxygen in this Lincoln Portatorch oxygen and acetylene welding and cutting set. And I bought this at Lowe's for $335. Gray tank with the red hose is the acetylene. The green tank with the green hose is the oxygen. It's about out of oxygen. So this is a classical. I paid $335 for this at Lowe's and it cost $60 to fill those tanks. That's too much money. That's $30 for the oxygen, $30 for the acetylene. This is a classical way of welding. I like welding like this. It's classical, but it is dangerous. Don't never, if you're gonna ever do this, don't never get oil on that oxygen tank. Don't ever get oil on those threads or anywhere near that oxygen. Don't never let oil and oxygen mix because they will blow up if they mix. And the acetylene, make sure the screws are tightened, like that little, see it, where the red hose is connected on, always make sure that's tightened. And see where it's connected to the wait a minute, see where it's connected to the acetylene tank, make sure that's very tight, because if it's loose it will leak. And if you're welding or you got that fire going, as soon as that acetylene vapor hits it, it's going to cause a flash fire and could go worse than that. You know, if everything's not set properly. And make sure that these are always tight. These especially, make sure that these are very, very tight. Especially acetylene, because if it leaks out and a vapor hits the fire coming out of the torch, it will set it on fire. So I'm gonna turn this on. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm gonna weld this. This is mild steel. It is 1/16 of an inch thick, 2 mild steel plates. And I'm going to weld them in the, I'm going to weld a butt joint in the vertical down position, which I'll show you that in a second. I want to set this camera where I can pick this up. So the butt joint is this. 2 pieces of steel, aluminum, whatever. This is steel. This is mild steel. I'm going to put it together like this and take out a acetylene torch and I'm going to weld it going down and show what it looks like. I haven't done a lot of acetylene welding. I like it. It's fun. Well, you know, it's fun, but it's very, very dangerous. You have to make sure that these are tight. You can't play around with acetylene. It will blow up. It's that little acetylene tank on there, like that little acetylene tank on there has explosion force of 10 sticks of dynamite when it's completely full of acetylene gas vapor. So let me light this up and I'm going to weld these 2 pieces together. First I'm going to turn this on. This is the acetylene, it's the red hose, and it goes to this valve, and you turn it on by turning this counterclockwise, like this way around. That turns it on. Okay, now it's on. I'm gonna light it. Okay. Now I'm going to turn on the oxygen. I don't have much oxygen left, so I got to be careful. I want to make sure I get this videotaped before that oxygen runs out. So turn the oxygen on. I'm going to turn on the one going to the green hose, and we'll turn this counterclockwise also. Show you the flame. There it goes. There's a pretty neutral flame. It's a welding flame. I don't have much time. I gotta get this done. Oh, okay. Remove this camera. So I'm going to tack this together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab it with these pliers like this, then grab it with these vice grips. Well, okay, so I'm going to take this acetylene torch, I'm going to heat this up, excuse me, got allergies, got to get the clean them out. So I just go up along the seam, heat it up, it's kind of expanding on me. Now, one way to heat this up is you can do this, do that. I'm gonna tack it. Okay, so it is tacked. Now let me grab this with a pair of welding pliers. It's meant to do this with, because those little short things will get your hands burnt. Okay, I'm going to grab it with these big pliers. This will help. Now, there it is. You can see where I tacked it at the bottom. And here I go. Gotta get a molten pool of steel going. Got to keep that molten pool of steel on that seam so it can penetrate the two pieces together. Acetylene and oxygen mixed makes a fire flame at 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. I'm not going to finish that scene. This is just to show what oxygen and acetylene classic welding does. So you can see it's welded. Okay, let me set this down. Turn off this torch. I want to save that oxygen. I'm going to turn off the oxygen first. Lighter flame. There it is. Okay. So look at this, more clear. And that's what oxygen and acetylene flame of fire does. Classic way of welding. Still very convenient, does work. Although electric welding is a little bit stronger than this. Although this will hold. This is how they use acetylene and oxygen welding is how they used to weld old ships together, cars together. You know, I'm talking about in the early 19th century. You know, that's how they welded a lot of vehicles, boats. The one thing about oxygen and acetylene, you can weld aluminum with it, you can weld copper with it, you can weld brass with it. So that's a Lincoln porta-torch, oxygen and acetylene welding set. That's what it does. And as you can see, it did warp the metal. I went so fast. And that's 16, that steel is 1/16 of an inch thick. It's very thin. I mean, but hey, and that looks to be, man, like 80 to 100% penetration. If you look, you can see, you know, where it's the back seam is melted together. You know, the back of it, except for right there. I mean, except for there. It's not right, but there, you can see there it didn't melt together, but through here it did. That's where I stopped at on the other side. As you can see. That's where I tacked it at first. And there is what Lincoln porta-torch oxygen acetylene welding cutting kit can do. Now let me find something else to weld, make a video of. That's it, man. Classic way of welding.